Yeah.
He's now a member of the Las Vegas Raiders. So what happened?
How much time you get?
It is time, everybody. You look forward to this each and every week live from the Virginia Mason Athletic Center. It is time for the John Schneider Show here with Wyman and Bob. And you brought a guest with you. Who's this? Mike Macdonald is sitting in here.
Brought my buddy. Brought my friend.
Did you have to twist his arm? What happened here?
I think Dave did.
No, Dave never tells me what to do. It's all by my own accord.
He's got no influence.
I actually did compare the intros though between what we have during the season, and John, you got a pretty good intro.
Is it better?
You think it's better than yours, Mike?
Well, it actually changed it in the middle of the year because I was giving him crap about it. But,
about your open?
Yeah, just trying to make it right. You know?
you tell him what kind of music you want.
I'm pretty high maintenance when it comes to that stuff.
Well, it's good to have you here on the John Schneider Show. You're his first guest, so I don't know if he's going to fire questions to you. But
yeah, it's an honor.
Yeah, it's good to have you in here. And John, we were just talking during the break. We talked to you not last week, but the week before, and asked you about Geno Smith, and you said, we're talking to him tomorrow. We're going to talk to the reps tomorrow. He's our guy. We love him. We're going to get this thing. So we just didn't even question it. Not a matter of if, but when it got done. Exactly a week later, we're in Arizona and get the news. Yeah. He's now a member of the Las Vegas Raiders. So what happened?
How much time you get?
As much as you want.
No, it just, look, I just talked to the other local media members out here and told them that, we made an offer, and we thought it was a strong offer. We wanted Geno to be here. We had to be prepared if obviously they didn't like the offer.
There was
no counter, and so we just had to do what we always do, which is the best thing for the organization, and pivot to Sam or another quarterback or two, and look, everybody did a great job upstairs, I think, but the coaches and the personnel staff, we had sat down and said, hey, if this does go a different direction, sit down and studying all the guys together, can we make this work? It was like, absolutely. And so, yeah, and it's crazy because I remember telling you guys, like, hey, this is the time of year you got to really be able to pivot, and holy smokes, I don't know if we didn't, we were ready for it, but we didn't plan on it, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because you guys have to be pretty much ready for anything, right? And so how surprised were you, or had you already played that scenario out in your head pretty much?
I was surprised that we didn't negotiate, I was surprised that there wasn't a dialogue, so, but you also can't lose out on another opportunity, so we had to be ready to be flexible, and everybody was on board, and we were able to, God willing, we were able to just pivot and move forward.
So, Mike, how does it work for you? Does John call you and say, hey, here's what's going on, man? We're looking at these candidates. Who do you like? Are you involved in this, or what's your role in it?
Are you involved in this at all?
I don't know if you're up to speed with every conversation, or you're just getting the info.
I think kind of how John explained it, as things started to play out and became, hey, there might be some opportunities where we might have to go a different direction from Geno. Hey, now let's sit down. Let's kind of come up with what's the next move. So, Clint was involved with that, and like the rest of our team up there did a great job of just kind of planning out, okay, we can go, X, Y, Z directions. And so, yeah, again, I don't think you're planning on it, but then you say, okay, holy smokes, this could happen. Let's have a great plan in place in case it does, and fortunate that kind of everything kind of lined up the way that we had hoped for, and that's the way it played out.
It's kind of interesting because a lot of people go, well, he's a defensive-minded coach, but I feel like that gives you an advantage because you can sit there and pick apart offenses and like, oh, I can defend this, or that's really tough. Is that the case for you?
Well, yeah. I mean, to a certain extent, and I think it's important. You're thinking about, okay, they're going to come join your team. So what's important to you? The type of person is going to bring people together. Are people going to be does he have this kind of gravitational force to his presence and being in the building? Like, that's really important. The person that you're going to bring on your team, that's the first thing, not just the quarterback, but especially the quarterback. Scheme fit's obviously really important. What I like about what we bring to the table now with what Clint has to offer and that system is it's quarterback friendly, but I don't think it's like quarterback specific.
Okay.
And then Sam's been able to, been in this system, certain versions of this system throughout the years. And then Clint has obviously his vision of what he wants to be able to do. So all those things kind of included made us really excited about the possibility of getting Sam.
John, that happened really quickly, as you just talked about. When a move happens that quickly, do you have an opportunity to take calls from all these other teams? I mean, because the transaction happened so quickly with the Raiders, or was it more obvious, hey, Pete's there, Pete knows him, Pete wants him, we already know this? Or
Yeah, it was pretty evident that the Raiders were interested.
So you weren't taking calls from a bunch of other teams?
No. I had been in contact with Pete and John Spytek on the situation, and so we actually were able to execute it really quick.
Can you kind of take us through same thing with DK, kind of how that went down and how that occurred?
Yeah, we weren't interested in trading DK, and that just over several conversations, it was just evident that he did want to be traded, and again, like I told the local guys outside too, this is not something that both Geno and DK, these are business decisions. So, and because you sit there and say, well, why do these guys want to leave when we have people in this building like Dave and Mo and Soup and Ivan and Strick and like all these awesome EK, like all this awesome foundational pieces, and you kind of you take it personally right at first, right? Then you're gonna sit back and say, okay, let's just not take it personal. Like this is business, and these guys, there's a reason for it, and it just was evident with DK that he, from a business standpoint, and he made that evident. Like, hey, I want him. It's time to move, and so his agent and I worked through, and Trent and Nolan and Matt Berry upstairs. We just worked through all the teams, and ended up. I think that was last weekend. I think. And ended up. It ended up being Pittsburgh.
Hey, you guys did bring back Ernest Jones on a 3-year deal.
It's all positive. Wow, good job, guys.
Well, we got that other part of the way.
Yeah.
We had to rip the Band-Aid off.
Reed.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm curious, just from your perspective, Coach, just the importance of bringing back Ernest Jones. Dave and I have talked about it all year, that not trying to give him all the credit for the turnaround of the defense, but it started to turn around once he got here and Tyrese Knight was there. Everything seemed to fall in place. From your perspective, was that something you communicate to John, like we would need to get this guy back?
Well, I think everybody saw it. It's not, you don't need to be some football expert to realize that we definitely grew. We got way better when EJ got here. Just the presence, again, it goes back to like, hey, who is this guy? He's on our team. He's our Mike linebacker. There's a poise there. There's a presence. There's a physicality. There's a toughness. The intelligence. Kind of just, and then like again, the gravitational force on defense where guys, trust them and they can, kind of give everybody, a sense of confidence around them as well. And defense is built inside out, and so you got to be strong up the middle. EJ provided that for us, and a heck of a guy too. That like you want to be around him, and you want him leading your defense too. So, I mean, that was evident to see. We were on the same page the whole way, and I think we're fortunate. We're in a situation where both sides are like really excited about the longevity and the sustainability with EJ being here, and then we have our Mike backer for the foreseeable future too. So I think everybody's happy.
Yeah, Joey landed an amazing job with that. I mean, we started in like the middle of December or late December. So he hung
the conversation.
Yeah, and that's a long time to be negotiating, and you can lose patience at times, and he did a great job just sticking with him.
He's a great dude. He called into our show after the season was
Joey
over.
Lane.
Joey Lane did?
No. We're talking about EJ. Oh, my
Look
God.
how proud of
nice.
They're so proud of each other. High fives.
Mike, you don't want to have the same sense of humor as this guy. All right, so
What are you talking about? We have the same sense of humor.
I know.
Bob's right around the corner, too. I mean, shoot, Bob, you were there.
I was there.
That's right. We hear about Mike's dad jokes. You hear that, you've got, you're a dad now, so congratulations.
Yeah,
by the
thank
way.
you.
Yeah.
So he's working on his material.
Okay, my thing is like I got like 7 to 10 jokes.
Okay.
The first times you hear them, yeah, that's pretty good. And then like I'll just stick to it the next several times, and they're not as funny. But then you keep hearing them, and they get funny again. And it's just like Novocaine. It's going to work eventually. You just keep throwing them out there.
Everybody needs reps, Dave. You know?
That's exactly right.
We all have a common friend who could provide material for you, Adam Ray. We can put in a call to him, and he could.
Yeah,
he could write.
I've gotten to know Adam. He's a great guy. He may not have roasted our team throughout the season.
Hi, Adam.
Are you going to face call?
No, he just he sent us a picture of
him with the
Yeah,
Mariners.
Sam's my guy.
With Sam Darnold. Yeah. Mike, you the inside linebacker. I feel like if you coached one position, it would be inside linebackers because they're most important to a defense. But yeah, I mean, I think
it's like your source.
It really started there. But then also, you're a fan of defensive linemen, man. I mean, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, and that's a position that looks like it's pretty loaded. But it's kind of interesting. We were just talking about how Kyle Van Noy in that defense, which still has your fingerprints on it.
Jadeveon
Clowney. And so, yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool. The signing of I know you had something to do with it too, but DeMarcus Lawrence is just like at a time when a lot of people were like, okay, offensive line, this and that, building up that D line.
Well, I mean, how can you watch DeMarcus Lawrence tape and not just get fired up? Again, it doesn't take a football expert to watch this guy play. He plays incredibly violent. When you understand having an AD and like some of the things that they're being taught to do and how he sees the game, like his football intelligence, I think is really underrated. This guy is a savant of the game, and when you play like as ruggedly and as aggressively does as well, like that's a heck of a combination. And then with the veteran thing, I take a lot of pride in that with our team. Like that's something that we really want to be known for. We want guys to play their best football for us at any stage of their career. So whether you're taking them on as a rookie, we want them to, blow the doors wide open, but especially those vets that, they're probably in the second half of their career, like, hey, there's no reason where these guys can't excel and play their best football. So that's something that we take a lot of pride in.
Some of the hand wringing out there obviously has been about the O-line.
Yeah.
And
Dave's informed me, yes.
Yeah. So, and people look at Dave's feeling picked
What?
up
I
there.
just answered
No,
questions.
Dave Pearson.
Oh, Dave Pearson.
Yeah, I got you. It's not all about you, Dave Wyman.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad it's not.
But
I get it. I get it. The empathy. I have a lot of empathy for the fans. I get it. Like,
the wild card we throw out, though, is we don't know how you view the pieces you have in-house. Like, from the outside, the media views it, the fans view it one way, like, oh, we need guards, we need a center. And we're looking at it going, well, you got a new coordinator. We don't know how they're looking at that group going, hey, I can work with these guys, or if they feel the same. How do you guys look at the pieces in-house? Do you feel like we've got the pieces, or no, we need to
We want to address it.
add?
We do want to address it. But JB and Rick Dennison, these guys are experts in that area, right? And they like our young guys. They like them. They see growth. They see, positive development, positive futures with them. But yeah, it's definitely an area we want to address. We tried addressing it, and it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't work out. It's just like the draft, but actually more intense than the draft when you're talking about acquisition and free agency, especially the early period, because you're talking about a serious commitment. And so the psychological part, the character, the coaching, AD, knowing Tank and the offensive staff spending time with MVS. I mean, that's big. We know the person. So yeah, you can't. Where you get in trouble is when you, especially in free agency, when you want to build a team all throughout the year and address your deficiencies, whether it's in this, like in training camp or early in the season with deficiencies or underperformance or whatever. You need to be able to budget yourself and be disciplined enough to be able to fix your team all throughout the year and address those issues. So when you hit the panic button and pay good money for average to marginal play, that's where you really get in trouble. And then you're not able to fix your team, the rest of the way. But yes, the young guys, people are our coaches are excited about him. And look, we're going to keep working this with some of these veteran guys, because we'd like to have a veteran in that room, but it's not, sometimes you can't just make stuff up.
Well, Mike, when you were standing up there with Clint Kubiak and Sam Darnold in the middle, I was going to go, who's the guy on the left? Clint Kubiak, your new offensive coordinator, man.
You couldn't hear him, or
Was he really fired up?
No, he's a new face, man.
Yeah.
I played when his dad started coaching, and yeah. So I mean, how much of that, like, can you mitigate some of the problems with offensive scheme? Like, guys like that. I imagine you guys all sitting around going, okay, this is the scheme that we're going to run, and like we can win with this guy. Like he's okay, and it might be a different evaluation of other people, but within that scheme, that's kind of what you're looking at, right?
Yeah, well, I think to answer the question earlier, I think it's both. Like you're always betting on the growth of the guys that you have in the building, right? Because you see it day in, day out, the work ethic, the talent. When we went through the draft process, why we wanted these guys in the first place, and I think all those guys grew in the first year too. It's like there's things to be excited about for our young linemen, our young everybody. So like the expectation is yeah, he is what he is now, but guys are allowed to get better too. And then now the reason that you hire the staff that you hire is you're really trusting these guys on we're going to get a ton of reps, like we're going to get our work in, but being able to stack all those things so the guys get better and play with. But I think philosophically speaking, we want to take pressure off of the offensive line and the quarterback. Like they got tough jobs, man. Right. Like you leave anybody on an island to block any professional D lineman. Those guys are going to lose at some point, and it's just it's not a fair ask nowadays. So you have to take pressure off those guys. So we got to change up protection schemes. You got to move the pocket. You got to be able to be really effective running the ball. Your action game has to be on point. One of the reasons I'm really excited about Sam is his ability to throw on the move. So all those things, so you can limit some of those really tough downs on the quarterback and the line. So when you talk about scheme, yeah, like the X's and O's, like where all the lines are going, we'll figure all that stuff out. But just philosophically speaking, we want to take pressure off those guys too. So that's a point of emphasis. But again, I think that goes back to like, hey, yeah, we believe in the guys we have. But of course, at any position in our team, we're always going to look to say, okay, we're betting on the growth of the person we have, or do we need to go find somebody?
We've talked about this. So you guys have made moves quickly. You don't sit around and wait. The linebackers you brought in the offseason last year, halfway through the year, you're like, this isn't working. We got to bring in others, and you make moves. Same with the offensive coordinator. One season, this isn't working. We're making a move. Has that always been an element of because some people could get caught up in, well, let's see how it plays out. Let's give it time, where you seem pretty clear in your mission and what works and what doesn't.
Well, I've never been a head coach before this year, so that was kind of my first experience with it. But I think you always have the mentality of like the growth of people and trying to bet on people's development too. I think there's going to be plenty there were opportunities of that last year where you just might not see us making those types of decisions in real time. You're looking at just two where we decided to move on. But I'd like to think that my mentality is we're betting on people's development, and that's really important to us, and it's just better for the team too. I mean, there's all sorts of hidden values in there too, if you want to go math style on it. But that's our job as coaches, to build people up and get them to grow and be the best versions of themselves.
For either of you guys, Sam Darnold, I thought one of the most interesting things he said today is that, like, as a quarterback, you have to give up sometimes. And I mean, you're a professional athlete, and I don't ever remember I don't think ever giving up during a play, where you're like, okay, I can't make this. I've got to, and for him, he has to throw it in the dirt or, just take the sack or whatever. I thought that was kind of interesting to hear from him. And it's just an element. I don't know. He just sounded very self-aware. And one of the reasons why probably you guys were excited about Sam Darnold.
Yeah, it's cool that you say that about not giving up and because and what you're saying, being a former linebacker, because when you went to the school and evaluated him, it was like he could play quarterback or he could play middle linebacker. I mean, he was just a football player.
Right.
Now he's had to progress as a quarterback, and he's done it. He's done it, and he the self-aware part in the press conference that these guys did today, I thought was really cool. He's just talking about just honest. Mm-hmm. I know what I got to fix. I got to keep working on it, and that honesty is, and like that sincerity is like a natural leadership skill, and like that, just the self-awareness.
How do you make an evaluation of a player like him where another guy that we spent a lot of time talking about him for a guy that was not on the Seahawks last year because he was such a fascinating story. His first 6 seasons told one story. Then last year, kind of out of nowhere, you're going, who's this? And then the last 2 games kind of looked like the previous 6 seasons. So we were kind of going, all right, well, what's real? Which is the real Sam Darnold? How did you guys evaluate last year and then comparing and contrasting to who he had been prior to that and those last 2 games?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's a right answer to it. I mean, I'm going off of what I've witnessed with my 2 eyes, people that we know that know him, that work with him on a daily basis, and then ultimately the tape. And the tape was really impressive, and all the kind of the resource or all the references that you're making contacts with, and this guy just talk about being a force multiplier. Just that's who he is, and there's a lot of people that have spoken on that behalf. So that was a pretty strong statement.
Yeah, I would say just the experiences that I've had with quarterbacks like that I've learned from. So, watching Rich Gannon develop and Matt Hasselbeck and Geno as of late. So, watching that progression. That gives you confidence in the trajectory of his career.
Where are you kind of in free agency right now? Once the first few days goes by, are you kind of in a second tier, or what? How do you view where you're at right now, and what are you waiting for to kind of shake out?
Yeah, so we really view it as 3 phases. We're still in the phase 1 where people are still, they're still ripping with some pretty big contracts, but it's going to come pretty close. Probably maybe Monday, early next week, where now it's phase 2. Agents are realizing that, their ask was too high, so now they have to adjust and so we're constantly our guys do a great job up there, just constantly reaching out, staying in contact with everybody and basically just, trying to stay in the game as much as we can, and then they basically just blame us for being the bad guys. We can't sign them. It's an old trick we learned a long time ago. But what about Jay Reed? Can we talk about Jay Reed? Because this guy's he was really important to the staff and us and everybody in the building to get back, and that just got glossed over. Kind of like that Tyler Lockett stuff last weekend with all the news. This is really cool. He's a huge piece of what we're doing. It was EJ, Jay Reed, those guys are priorities, man. And that was a big deal for us to get that done. And I don't know, he needs his flowers, as the cool guys say, I think. His flowers.
He's a foundational piece to what we're doing. I mean,
not flowers.
I don't know.
It starts with him up front. That's the way it was last year. And he proved it day in, day out in the building, which is arguably probably just as important what he does on Sunday, just his effect on the rest of the people and the young guys in the room, and feeling Leonard and his development as a leader too was Jerry was helpful with that, but and he's playing really great. I thought he played really great football for us too. So it's both. So that was a really important signing. That was awesome.
Jay Reed's like the enforcer, kind of, right?
Totally.
I mean, and especially in the locker room and on the sidelines, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. It always has been since right when he walked in the door. I mean,
yeah.
He was just always an alpha, left Alabama. JC goes back to Alabama, was the leader right when he came back in the building.
Last one before we let you go. You guys went. We talked to you about being over the cap at one point, and you're like, "Oh, sky's falling," and then and then boom, you're 60 whatever million under the cap.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily see that coming, but yeah.
But are you still looking at making adjustments to lessen cap hits, or are you kind of done with that aspect of it?
It depends on what happens over the next, let's say, week or two, with still working through the acquisition phase of free agency, unrestricted free agency.
We'll ask you next week. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Well, it's good to have you guys in. Mike, you're welcome every time if you want. If John will allow it, you come in whenever you'd like.
I don't know if I'll take you up on that, but thanks.
Because I don't want to be on his show the day after a game. No, thank you.
I got to think you hire Mike as a head coach, and he's like, "What? I got to do what?"
No, I've never said that
media?
once.
Well,
Pearson.
Very, very cool to have you both in here, and I know the fans love it. And it's great to get a chance to talk to you. We talk to this guy all the time, but it's good to talk to both of you.
Yeah, it's good to be on. It's
really
honestly,
cool.
it's-
Thank you guys.
Appreciate
Thanks
you
for
guys.
coming, Mike.
Yep.
There you go. There's John Schneider along with head coach Mike Macdonald.